I've just left White River this morning, heading to the Kruger National Park via Numbi Gate. Now, Numbi Gate is in the south of the Kruger Park, and it is the closest gate to the Pretoriuskop camp, which I'm headed for the next 3 days. Overcast, had a little bit of rain last night. This morning is dry, however. Driving in this particular part of the country is challenging. Speeds can vary from anything from 5 kilometers an hour in front of you to 150 kilometers an hour in front of you. Oh, look! That little orange light that goes on and off has just gone on and off. I wonder if it means anything. Yes, it does. It does. He's going to turn. He's turning right. Same direction with the little yellow light is. Excellent. Uh-oh. Taxi wants to come in between. Speed 1.2 kilometers. There we go. Going off to the side. No little orange light going on and off. Taxi coming by. Taxi's going to overtake. Taxi is overtaken. Ah, the joys. Traveling in a region like this is always interesting. There are no rules to the road, and you've got to be particularly vigilant because anything could happen at any time. Who has right of way? Not sure. Weaving between things, people, cattle, goats, vehicles, absolute requisite skill. Although I say there are no rules, I think there are rules. They're unwritten rules. They're rules understood by the locals. Where I saw this most dramatically a couple of years ago was in Maputo, the capital of Mozambique. There appear to be no rules, and it is chaotic, it's frightening, and yet it works. Another city where I've seen this in Europe is in Naples. Driving in Naples, Rome is bad. Driving in Naples is an absolute sheer nightmare, and yet it works. The difference in between where I am now and Naples is there's a whole new set of skills needed in Naples, and those are... Now I have to turn right, weave. I've stopped. Can I go? I can. Yeah, I can go. In Naples, a whole new set of rules is required, and that is hand gestures.
Continue on R569.
I'll do that, dear. Thank you. A whole set of hand gestures are needed in Naples, and a hooter. 2 things must have for driving in Naples, and both are used constantly. The Italians are very expressive people. Naples, Maputo, Rome. The worst I've experienced so far in terms of driving. And again, as I say, not necessarily because there aren't rules. I simply haven't understood the rules. The locals do know the rules, and it works. Maputo is fascinating. The traffic flows. It's chaotic, absolutely chaotic, but it works. I suppose it's like all human endeavor. Prerequisite is to know the rules. If you don't know the rules and you don't play by the rules, things don't work. I was speaking about my experiences in driving in Rome to an Italian, a Roman. And I explained to him that morning I'd seen the most extraordinary thing. 3 nuns attempting to cross a very busy major road in Rome Central. And I said to him, it was an unnerving experience because these 3 nuns simply ran into the traffic across the road. And he said to me, yes, that's what you've got to do. You must just run. They will avoid you. Again, it works. It works for the Romans. Me, myself, I'm not so brave. Beautiful Sunday morning. Cloudy. Some water in the clouds. Cool. And people going about their business on their day off. I suppose with COVID-19 and the general depressed economy in this area, most of these people are probably unemployed. So they have many days off. There's somebody leaving the Kruger Park, going home. It's always a sad feeling, leaving the Kruger Park and going home. But me, I'm now going into the Kruger Park. Nothing sad about that. A few decades ago, Numbi Gate was a very popular gate to enter or leave the park by. Not so much anymore today, because it is slow going with the traffic, pedestrians, cattle, goats. But I always enjoy entering the park through Numbi, not leaving it. I think when you're leaving, you've got a long journey in front of you and you're not particularly relaxed. But entering the park, I always enjoy this little adventure. Several years ago, there were many instances of stone throwing on this road. And people were warned not to use Numbi Gate. That's not the case anymore. I suppose it must be saddening, frustrating, annoying for people who have virtually nothing, seeing very expensive vehicles coming through here, people on the way to the Kruger Park or leaving. Life is not always fair. Life is certainly not equitable. And now we see the entrance gate, Numbi Gate. Many years ago, where we are now, or just a little bit further back, there were always people selling curios, mainly wooden carvings. You don't see that anymore. And I'm sure that must have been a reasonable source of income for those people. Thank you. Well, there we are, through the entrance gate. Now on to Pretoriuskop. Well, here we are approaching Pretoriuskop entrance gate. And I think the first thing I will do is just go and have a look at the camping area. This is a relatively small camp, probably not the best camp for game viewing. Whoa, this camping site is quite full. Come on, all of you, pack up now and go home. Pretoriuskop is the oldest camp in the Kruger National Park, with the first few tourists, 3 vehicles in fact, passing through Numbi Gate to Pretoriuskop in 1927. The camp is at a higher altitude than most other camps in the Kruger National Park, and resultantly is somewhat cooler, with a higher rainfall, in fact the highest rainfall in the Kruger Park. Well, I eventually found a very nice camping spot next to the fence with a little bit of privacy, at least one side completely facing the outside of the camp. And that gives a little bit of privacy, which is wonderful. The camp filled up considerably overnight, and in fact I think was completely full overnight. The 3rd of November. I'm just leaving Pretoriuskop campsite. Just after 5 in the morning. And if I look a little wet, I am. I've just been defecated upon and thereupon urinated upon while packing up camp. Vervet monkeys sleep in trees, and they chose a tree above my campsite. And like many mammals, upon waking they have the need to defecate. And they do so in place. So a quick wash off under the tap. It's the best I can do at 5 in the morning. And here we go. Pretoriuskop is not one of my favorite camps. I've stayed there many times in chalets, but I've never camped there before. This was my first camping experience. I was underwhelmed. I had the sense that the camping area is poorly managed. Braai grids are not cleaned efficiently or effectively. Broken down braai grids. I had a braai grid at my site without a pin to adjust the height of the grid. On the second night, trying to pull the grid up from the rust, the entire structure collapsed, and that was the end of that. I did complain to the camp manager about the braai grids being filthy. He seemed somewhat surprised that it was a problem, and informed me that nobody else has complained. Yeah. To his credit, he sent our 2 men immediately to clean my grid, which I had to explain to them how to do because they hadn't done it before. And they too seemed surprised that having a clean grid was necessary. After all, you just burn the muck off. Yeah, you can just burn the muck off, but you use a lot more wood that way. Not sure that it's environmentally friendly either. But anyway, it was cleaned. And besides the fact that the entire structure collapsed that night, I could braai. However, they did want to know from me, how long are you staying? And I told them 3 nights. And that they were pleased to hear, because they wouldn't have to do this again. No, Pretoriuskop, you're letting the side down. So, having left Pretoriuskop now, I'm on my way to my next camp, Satara, which is quite a distance. It's 140 kilometers thereabouts. Which at the speed I travel is quite slow, and I don't want to get there late. I want to get there early to see if there are many decent camping spots. So, next stop, Satara. Satara is the 3rd biggest camp in the Kruger Park, with Letaba being the 2nd biggest. Satara's camping area is large, with many sites, and the camp is very, very popular, often referred to as the Lion Camp. Prolific sightings of lions around the Satara area, particularly between Skukuza and Satara. As I say, the Satara's camping area is quite large with many sites, very popular, and in the high season the camp is very often full, all the camping sites taken. It's very popular for people to want to take fence line sites. The advantage, of course, being is that you've got privacy certainly in front of you, and you look out onto the bushveld, and very often you can see game. I once had the experience at Aupen watching wild dogs and a hyena fighting right next to the fence. So there are certainly benefits in taking one of those sites if they're available. Normally they fill up very fast. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and clearly a big storm brewing around Satara. Well, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a huge rainstorm, and in front of me a tree in the road that shouldn't be in the road. It is being blown over by the wind. My word. Just setting fast within 10 minutes. Clear skies, and suddenly darker and darker and darker. Wind suddenly came up, rain, and one less tree in the Kruger Park. It's calming down now, and the storm seems to be moving on. My word, this came up fast. fast and violent. Well, I reckon I'll just sit and wait this out. Satara camp is right next to me, where I'm camping at the moment. But not much I can do now about putting up a tent, etc. I'll wait for this to finish. Back into the camp after the storm. Some damage done. I later in the afternoon met some people in reception booking a cottage. Their tent had been entirely destroyed and they were looking for alternative accommodation. During the last storm I experienced at Satara, I found a little swallow on the ground, wet, bedraggled, unable to move. Took him inside, wrapped him in a towel, put the air conditioner on high heat, and after an hour, the little fellow flew away. Great feeling. Well, here we arrive at my campsite. Dishwashing bowl on the ground. There was nothing else to destroy. My table is still in place. But I'm afraid I chickened out and booked a chalet for the night. The next morning, after a very dry night, leaving Satara. Now on to my next stop, Beluli.